Happy Monday, everybody. All right, I wanted to go over some news articles I've been reading lately, and it ties to why we're invested as we're invested, and for our clients, why you've seen your accounts going up. So in his video, Greg was talking about the price of gold and silver going up, and when to sell. And now I'm going to look a little more at why gold and silver are going up, but from we're going to be reading in between the lines of these news articles. So one of them was I just read this report where Jamie Dimon, he's the CEO of JP Chase. And let me clarify, it's not that I'm really care what Jamie Dimon says. However, that is the largest bank in the world. And we know that he knows things that none of us know. And so when he talks, you should pay attention to what he's saying and then try to decipher what it means. But a few weeks ago, Greg gave a video on the default of this auto lender called Tricolors, where they were doing subprime auto loans, primarily to immigrants in the southwestern United States. Well, J.P. Morgan Chase was one of the major lenders there, and so in a recent interview, Jamie Dimon said, and I'm going to paraphrase, but he said basically that wasn't our finest moment, and I'm ashamed that we were caught up in that. Then this is interesting. He said, now I probably shouldn't be saying this, but when you see one cockroach, it's probably not the only cockroach out there. So what does that mean? Well, it means that he's worried that there's other problems out there. And then all of a sudden, we see this new bankruptcy. And so this is another article that we just read. There's a auto parts company that small, relatively small company corporately, but massive debt, and they filed bankruptcy recently, and we found out what they were doing was they were using their receivables as collateral, but they were using one set of receivables, money that other people owe them, as their collateral for loans. And they would go to one bank, use that one set of collateral. Then they'd go to another bank with that same collateral. Then they'd go to another bank with that same collateral. So they got multiples of loans for one set of collateral. They just filed bankruptcy. So there's another cockroach. This is really smelling like what started to happen before the 08, 07, 08 collapse, where we now refer to it lovingly as the Great Financial Crisis or the Great Recession. All right, so then here's one more follow-up article. There was an analyst, the geopolitical financial analyst for JP Morgan Chase. He was recently talking about how the United States is going broke, but slowly. And because it's happening slowly, the financial markets aren't paying as close attention. Well, Greg and I disagree. We think that that's part of why the central banks are stocking up on this gold. But then that also reminded me of the Hemingway book, The Sun Also Rises, where one of the characters was asked, how'd you file bankruptcy? And he said, two ways, slowly at first, and then all of a sudden. And that's easy to happen. If you know anybody who's had financial problems, a lot of times it's just kind of simmering in the background, and then all of a sudden it comes to a head. Well, we don't know, if when the head is going to come, but at some point you got to pay the piper. And so with that, we've seen the price of hard assets going up and up and up. And people are wanting physical instead of just paper contracts, as Greg described. So it's one of those things where, careful what you wish for. We want to be making money for our clients and protect our clients' wealth, but there's problems in the financial system that we're seeing that we're not necessarily, celebrating. We're not happy about, but we see that they're coming. And so we're starting to see that now. But the silver lining on that dark cloud is that if you're an investor and you've been taking advantage of this, you're doing well. And we expect you to continue to do well. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.